Yo, this is my 1965 Biscayne, Chevrolet Biscayne. If you don't know what that is, that's a version of the 65 Impala. It shares the same chassis with 65 to 70 full-size GM cars, Pontiac and Oldsmobile and included. So basically, this is a two-door sedan version of the 65 Impala. The 65 Impala has a hardtop, which has a longer roof line. This has the sedan roof line. The Biscayne was the base model trim, so it was the lightest of all of those cars. I think factory weight on this thing with the big block is 3875, so not terribly heavy. Heavier, than some cars, but actually the base model Biscayne is about the same weight as a Chevelle. So a small block Chevelle at that. So, these were kind of throwaway cars, so you don't see them a lot. Because they were the base model trim and everything, people used them up and threw them away. They tend to get rusty just because of the shape of the windows and stuff, and the sealant that used to leak. So not a lot of people put a time into restoring them. Parts are not widely available. Like, you can get the 65 Impala parts, but which is doors are a little different. Quarter panels are the same, deck lid's a little different. It shares some parts with like a four-door Impala. The deck lid's similar to a four-door Impala. The front fenders, the front end is all the same. The only thing that's different would be the Caprice model of this year. But a little backstory on this one, I've had this car for probably 15 years, and it's gone through several iterations. I drove it around for a while, and then I put a blower on it. I took the hood off, put a blower on it. This actually started out as I was looking for a parts car for another 65 Bel Air that I was doing, and I came across this one, and it was in better shape and a better deal. And at the time, I think I paid $3,500 for it or something like that. This was, 2010-ish, 2011-ish, something like that, maybe 12. But yeah, it's... I started out just driving it around, and then I did the thing where you take something off the car, and then you find something else, and then you find something else, and you find something else. And at the time I was, and still am, restoring classic cars and working on hot rod stuff. So just throughout the years, you would come across things that you're like, oh, I should do that to the car, and I should do that to the car, and oh, I like this, and oh, that would be better. But not having a ton of money, I did a lot of it kind of myself, and I thought, what would be the most efficient way to do this? So I actually shaved all the trim off of it, got rid of all the trim holes, welded everything up that would have had trim. The Biscayne doesn't have a lot of trim anyways, but some of the parts I got, like the front fenders and things, were off of like an Impala, so I had to weld up the trim on that. I don't particularly like the 66 taillights or the 65 front end, right? So what I did is I got a 65 because that has the four round taillights in the back. So there would be this taillight, and then in the deck lid there's a reverse light. It's red with white in it or something. But what I really like is the 6 taillights like you'd have on an Impala. So what I'm doing there is I'm going to take a 4-door Impala deck lid, and then either the one I have is not in great shape. The original deck lid on this is actually in really good shape. So I am going to take the 6 taillight setup out of that and put it on this car. So it'll be a Biscayne, but it'll have 6 taillights like an Impala. And then on the front, I have a whole 66 front end on it because I really like the 66 front end better than the 65. I don't like the 67 at all, and it wouldn't really line up with these doors and stuff anyways, but the 66 front end is a better looking front end in my opinion. I did put quarters on this car a while back. This is just primer that's on it right now. You can kind of see where I seamed it in right at this here, but a little bit of body work on there, and that'll work out good. I shaved the door handles And these are the original doors, and you can kind of see where I did it there. It did not, this is where the original like holes for the door handle were. I don't really like the way that turned out. I have a set of Kindig flush mount door handles I'm gonna put in there. That was the thing about it. I was gonna come up with like a button setup, and maybe some of you have seen the Foose 65 Impala car that he did where it had a way to open it. It was like a popper right there. And I originally done that, or thought of that, and then Foose did it, and I was like, it's a little overcomplicated for this build anyways. So I repaired the rear window channel, but the front window channel, this was all rusted out. I mean, it was gone. So I replaced the entire front cowl panel on this and fixed anything up around the windshield and stuff. So this whole cowl panel is new. I haven't done any body work on this seam yet, but the way these cars are, this rusts out a lot, and it wasn't in the greatest shape anyways. But I had this cowl panel from a previous car that I was gonna do, and I was trying to sell it and nobody wanted to buy it. And then I'm like, you know what? This car actually needs this whole panel. So I replaced this all the way across. This from the firewall here is down. I deleted the heater box opening because I was gonna do vintage air on it, and I still am. I got these wheels, I don't know, 10 years ago when they were cool, and they're good for now. 18s all the way around, 18 by 9.5 in the rear. I got a good deal on these Eagle F1 supercar tires, and those are 285, 40 18s, I think. They fill it out pretty good. There's a little room if I do a little modification to the inner frame rail. I could fit a little bit more meat back there, but it's probably fine for what I'm going to get into. This is one of those budget things I did back in the day because I don't know. I didn't want to spend the $800 for these solid radius arms. And as you can see, this is a single point lower control arm, which is one of the big flaws with this suspension setup. So one of the things you can do to fix it is to do an adjustable radius rod, they call it. Normally this would have a bushing on the front, but I built it with a Heim joint. And because when I was driving this car, you would hit the brakes and man, the front end was all over the place. And it's because those bushings on the front of that were wore out. I have these upper control arms bolted on because it was easy to do, but they're so old. As you can see, the bump stop exploded. Like it was up on the lift. The bump stop was here and it got so dry rotted that it exploded. I have matching lower control arms. I haven't put those on yet because I was gonna do a coilover setup in there. I have them, but I haven't put them on. I also have a complete brake kit, 4-wheel disc brake kit from Master Power Brakes that I'm gonna put on this. I have, I have pretty much everything to put this thing together, minus maybe some AC parts and stuff. This is just a mock-up engine that's in it, and a pretty cool mock-up engine. It's an all-aluminum 427 engine from, like you could buy over the counter for your 67 Corvette or 67 Copo Camaro. It's got some AFR aluminum heads on it. All of that is junk. The heads are shredded from dropping valves. The block needs 8 sleeves. So it's purely for mock-up. It makes nice mock-up because it's a little lighter than a standard big block, but I need to move this engine back to where that distributor almost hits the firewall because, and there's a reason for that, is because over here, underneath this pile of blankets, is something that has kind of a big belt sticking out in front of it. And because of that, it's so far in front of the belt drive, I need to push the engine back as far as possible to be able to get a radiator fan in it. And normally I would just put the radiator fan on the outside, but with the grill set up and having to run AC and put a condenser on the front of it and everything, it's gonna be easier just to put the engine back and leave the front end pretty much stock. So probably gonna switch over to manual brakes because of the blower. probably converting that to Hydro Boost later. It has manual steering. I don't think I'm gonna change that right now. It's for another day. I don't have a power steering pump on that engine over there, so it's not really worth trying to rig all that up right now. And that's kind of the conundrum I've gotten into on some of this stuff, is that, you know, I'd be like, oh, might as well. Oh, as long as I'm in here, why don't I? And it has caused this project to drag on forever. So car's pretty solid. I mean, there's really no rust at all in it. There's one spot back by the rear body mount that I'm going to take care of before I get too far. No one would ever see it with the bumper on, and you couldn't even see it from underneath with the bumper on, but it's just one spot I got to take care of. And then it's the one thing that's just always, I don't know, I'm back and forth on. I don't want a car that has an amazing paint job on it, because I will mess it up. Like, I am, with other people's stuff, I'm super careful, but with my stuff, I'll hit it with a wheelchair, I'll scrape it up, I'll do something, and then I will just be absolutely sick about it. And I've got too much respect for somebody who can paint a nice paint job to mess it up like that. Like, I can't do it. So worst case scenario, I will paint this thing myself. I'll do the body work and I'll paint it. But it'll probably be some version of this flat black. You know, that's hard to fix if you scratch it up, but you know, gloss black shows everything. Flat black, hey, it's kind of rat rottish, and it would match the engine and stuff. Like I said, this is just an epoxy primer, so the car's pretty straight. The front end is a different story altogether. I got it off of a 66 Impala out of a junkyard, and I'm talking about, I had to cut most of the fender away just to use it, and kind of graft in some of the 65 fenders to the back and the top. Like, it was pretty rusty around the traditional spots. It's a 4L80E transmission that I have for this. That's a mock-up one in there right now. The one I have has been built with a billet shaft and things like that. It'll handle about 1,000 horsepower. Yeah, buddy of mine built that for me. Traded out on some things. Super good dude. So back here, you'll notice there's some longer studs sticking out of there. And that is because, if you can see in there, it's a 9-inch Ford in there. So I purchased that from Mosier when I was on a pretty decent Mosier deal. And so the 9-inch is actually a NASCAR 9-inch 28 or 31 spline. NASCAR center section with a 390 gear. I built a custom like panhard bar for it. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see this, but let's see. So that's Mosier rear end in there. You can see the remnants of a 3-inch exhaust. The rest of it's not in there, but those pipes are just sitting there. I built a complete stainless 3-inch exhaust for it. I have a Holley 12.3-inch dash for the dash that goes across there. I got like a whole wiring harness kit for this thing. I've got the engine that's over there, which we'll talk more about later once we get into this thing. It's a 540 with an 871 blower, built by Gibbons Motorsports here in Mooresville, North Carolina. It has Holley dual throttle bodies on it. Actually, you know what? Let's just reveal this thing right now. This thing's badass, but it's gotten a little dusty sitting over here. But here's the motor, as you can see, built by Gibbons Motorsports. See if we can get a little clearer on it. Gibbons Motorsports. Pretty sweet. You know, I knew I wanted this thing to be blacked out. Like, so this is a Mooneyham 871 on it. I sent that out to the blower shop and had them rebuilt it. The guys at Gibbons Motorsports, I asked them to do like a 496 or like just kind of a stockish 454 with some upgrades for the blower. They went crazy, and I love those guys for it. I was helping them out with some projects that they had, and they just kind of kept saying, well, why don't we do this? And why don't we do that? And they were selling me parts at cost, and it was amazing. So I ended up with a engine I could never dreamed of having. So 540 big block, Dart block, Brodix heads. I know they don't look like it, but there's Brodix heads on there. Brodix. Those are aluminum heads. I painted them cast coat gray, and people do not like that. They're like, why would you paint aluminum heads? I'm like, it fits the motif, my man. It's all about the aesthetic, about the vibe. This engine dynoed at 867 horsepower on pump gas with about 7 pounds of boost. So very streetable power, but a lot of it for the street. Like I was saying, I have dual Holley Terminator Stealth throttle bodies on there. However, I kind of customed it up a little bit. I have a Dominator ECU and all the wiring harnesses. I picked them individually. So I got Dominator ECU, the 2x4 throttle bodies. I've got the power harness, computer harness, all that stuff came from Holley individually. So I kind of mixed and matched. It wasn't just a kit. It's a 240 amp alternator, I think. I'm all about big alternator. Yeah, you can see this thing's just loaded full of parts over here. Got a bunch of stuff back there. I think that's the Kindig door handles. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on this one. You know, I'm just gonna take it one day at a time, but I gotta start working on this. You know how it is. You have a project and it gets away from you, or you get in over your head. Well, there's nothing I can't do on this, and it just needs to get out there in the world. So we are going to, you know, just plug along with this one. I hope you guys can follow along. It's gonna be super cool. It should go, I gotta get it back to running and driving. So after I move the engine transmission back a little bit, I'm gonna do the body work on the firewall, paint the firewall, drop the engine in for the last time, maybe clean up the frame and stuff in the front. We're gonna put the brakes on it. We're gonna put the lower controls on it. We're gonna get some coilovers for it. We're gonna put those on it. We're gonna build out the rear end brakes and stuff on the 9-inch. We're gonna have to shorten the drive shaft a little bit. I had a drive shaft for it, but it's probably not quite good enough for the motor we have. So I'll either have that shortened and beefed up, or I'll just have another one built. I'm gonna put all the wiring in it. I'm gonna put floor insulation in it. I'm gonna put the dash together. I'm gonna make this thing run. Put the exhaust back on it with some slight modifications. And then this thing was gonna move under its own power. I even have all the glass for it. I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things. It's like, it's just got to go. So I'm gonna do everything I can do that's not gonna interfere with paint, and then decide what I wanna do for paint. So this project was always a lot more fun when you could fire it up every once in a while and move it around, and even drive it around with the front end off, which was always fun. So yeah, that's what we're gonna get into. So I hope you guys liked checking this out. Like I said, I'm kind of ready, you know, like it's a time in my life where I'm ready. So I'm sure something will come up here and there, but it's my goal to, you know, put a day in here, day there, week in here, week in there, and just stay after this one. There's nothing stopping us. So God willing, we'll keep rolling, and yeah, follow along on this one. It should be a good one.